Welcome to LeMoine Live. This is the first pilot of the Dad. We have 4 fathers here who are on the ball with their kids in the studio. Will you please help me and welcome Chief to LeMoine Live? Any fathers, if you're looking to get any type of help, we do have with us today on the panel, Mr. Albert Champion.
DNA doesn't necessarily depict fatherhood, you know.
I'm sure there's a lot of women watching this show that's going to agree with that.
Never in my life have I seen a baby come out talking about wham.
All right, welcome to LeMoine Live. This is the first pilot. Clap it up for that. Yeah. We definitely want to welcome you to the show. Now, today's show is Hi Dad, which is going to be a concept that spins off of the thought process that when cameras hit most people, the first thing they say is Hi Mom. Even in September's issue of ESPN magazine, you'll notice the cover has an athlete on there. There are different writing captions over his shoulder, and one of those captions is, Hi Mom. Now, we have no problem with children or anybody giving any praise to mothers because being a mother is a hard thing. There's a lot of jobs and a lot of hats that mothers wear. So we definitely want to give props to all of the mothers out there. However, we also want to add to those props the role and the activities of the father, who's also involved in the lives of the children. So today's show, we're going to give accolades to fathers and give advice as to how to be the best father you can be. We're back from commercial. Today's subject, Hi Dad. We have 4 fathers here who are on the ball with their kids in their lives. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Patrick Planche.
How's it going?
Sean Griffin, Courtney Jackson, and Colin Wishing. So, on the matter of being a father, Courtney, how do you perceive, or from the perception of a child, what do you think is the most important part and important role of a father in a child's life?
Well, a father needs to be active. You need to be there. You need to be present in the lives of your kids. There are too many distractions today, and being present, I think, is first and foremost.
Well, in keeping in line when you say be active, some fathers may not understand what you mean by be active. Active could be writing out a check for child support. Active could be picking them up on the weekend. So, Colin, what do you think he means when he says be active in the child's life?
I would say being active means first, you want to put a strong foundation, that being God first, you know, and make sure God is very important because along the way, every trial and test, you know how to handle that, situation, whatever. Besides God, I would say just spending time in general. If it's doing homework, is it studying with your child, is it playing, singing with your child, doing something that's active and letting that child know I'm here for you.
Yeah, so being active is important.
Yes.
Patrick, how have you been active in your child's life or in the lives of your children where you think it has made a substantial difference?
I try to be a teacher first. I let them make their mistakes, but then teach them from that.
From the mistake?
From the mistakes.
So do y'all sit down and discuss them?
Oh, we've had family meetings on many items over the years.
I agree.
And that's funny that it's on this particular subject matter because when a camera hits somebody at a football game, celebrities come on, they say Hi Mom. They never focus or say anything about Hi Dad, which is what actually gave us the inspiration for this particular show. Sean, when you watch programs and you see children that talk to the cameras, what does it make you feel when they don't say hi to dad and they only say hi mom?
Well, that's I think that's kind of a natural thing. I think we all tend to gravitate toward mom, as mom's the nurturer. That's the one who tends to coddle and support.
Right.
But dad tends to be behind the scenes regardless. If he is there, he tends to be more behind the scenes. Whether he's behind the scenes, but he's there. He needs to be there. His presence, it's not to be necessarily compete with moms. Mm-hmm. But when you're there doing what you're supposed to do as a father, it's going to be acknowledged. It's going to be known.
Exactly. And you mentioned presence. I do want to say this show is not about bashing moms or putting moms to the side. This show is more about putting the fathers right there with the mothers.
Yeah.
So Sean mentioned presence. Colin, how old are your children? Is your child?
I'm a stepfather first. I have a 6-year-old, and my little girl, she's 6 months. So
That's wonderful, man. I mean, you too are a stepfather?
Well, we adopted our 2 children.
Okay.
So.
And what about you? I believe you're a stepfather
Yes,
as well?
I'm a stepfather first, just like Colin said, and then my daughter's 10.
Okay, so for fathers that are out there that have stepchildren in their lives, what are some of the challenges that you have overcome? Not that you face, but challenges that you've overcome in terms of being worthy of the high dad gesture from the child.
I'll go first if I can.
Sure.
You don't mind.
Go
That touched you, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I was a stepchild, and growing up, you always be hard on that stepfather, like you wouldn't respect them like you would respect your real father. So I would say the first challenging thing is dealing with that baby's daddy, because first of all, he don't want you being a father in his son's life at all. Period.
Did you have that experience?
Did I? Oh yeah. We had many problems.
So did you overcome the problem?
We did. Because I would say the main key is communication. Sitting down and understanding. It's not about our egos. Even though I do feel like doing something to you or us getting into it about that child.
Right. Sometimes there's debates.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I would say I've grown so much. Since it's like this whole experience start internally, like as a man. Period.
I
For
understand.
respect. So
in terms of whenever you say you guys sat down and talked, do you think that he means, Sean, that he and the biological father sat down and had conversations? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
So how hard would that be?
To be the biological father in that?
Well, to actually, on either side, to actually sit down and discuss the future of the child without a heated discussion between biological dad and stepdad.
It shouldn't be difficult, and that's the thing about it. When you focus on the child, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people lose sight of. The most important thing in that aspect is that child. It's not me. It's not about me. It's not about the step parent or whatever. It's about the child, and you need to come together to discuss what's best for the well-being, the welfare of the child.
Agreed.
When you can put that out front and you take yourself out of the equation as far as ego and all that. When you can put that on the side, then everything works out for the best. The way I thought about it in the situation that I was in, okay, he has a stepfather. Mm-hmm. The more people in my child's corner, the better for him.
Wow, that's
better for him. As long as we are working together, as long as we're on the same page.
Everybody has the same plan.
As long as you understand who I am and understand who you are, everything is fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything should be fine.
That's a different mindset for your age versus ours. Because nowadays, they don't want you involved, period.
I mean, I do agree with that. And that's the main purpose for actually having this particular show, because, I mean, just because people doing it, it doesn't make it right. Yeah. And it needs to be corrected because just like he's speaking now, Patrick, he's talking about how whenever fathers go into their situation with another child or that father, it's important to understand, like Sean just said, exactly what's what. So in understanding it, let's go to commercial break with the idea that we're going to focus on the kids. It's LeMoine Live. We'll be right back after this. We're back and we're talking about the involvement of fathers in the lives of their children as it relates to being acknowledged by the children and the mothers at sometimes. Patrick, you adopted your children. What kind of an experience has that been, and did you adopt them as children, as babies?
We adopted them both as babies. We were there when my daughter was born. Our son was born over in Lafayette. We picked him up on day one. So they've only known us.
Do you feel that they have the respect for you, the relationship that would be implemented into the lives of biological fathers and children?
I think there's no doubt about that. I mean, when people talk to me about the kids or people that see the kids, they're like, they're your kids, right? And plus, as they've grown up, they look alike, even though they're not biologically, from the same family.
Right.
They have a semblance of each other, so it looks like they're brother, sister naturally.
Well, I think that you feel, I guess, that it's just as equally as important as a father, whether you're biological, whether you're step, either way, being a father is the most important thing.
That is the most important thing.
Yeah, DNA doesn't necessarily depict fatherhood, you know.
I'm sure there's a lot of women watching this show that's going to agree with that.
You don't have to share DNA to be a father. You know, sometimes that's not necessarily the best situation.
Yeah.
You know, depending on.
Indeed.
Well,
Indeed.
I think there's a big difference between father and daddy.
Take it to another
I think that's where it goes. You know, in my situation, I had to get past the anger that my son had, you know, because he didn't know his dad.
Yeah.
And then when I came into his life, he was really mad. And he was mad because I was there first.
Wow.
So we had to get past that. But, you know, like Colin said, helping him with homework, being there to support him in sports, and just talking to him and telling him, look, man, I got your back. I got your
I'm
back.
here for
and
you.
How old was he, Courtney, whenever you came into his life?
He was 6.
So 6 years old. How old is he now?
He's 18, just graduated from our basic military training. He's in tech school.
And why don't you? And he's doing well
Yes.
in what he's doing.
Excellent.
So it turned out to be a success.
Yeah.
Now, in that success, I'm sure that every road was not fun. I'm sure there were some hills, some challenges, and hurdles.
Yeah.
There are fathers out there in each one of our situations. Advise them, Courtney, a father in your situation meets a young lady. She already has a child. He has his own way of being a father based off of how his father was with him.
Right.
But now he's at a challenging point because he now has to go into implementing his way of being a father, which could be totally different from the way the mother even perceives it,
Right.
which also adds another challenge. Advise that father on how to make it successful.
Well, first of all, you gotta include everybody, and you gotta understand that the relationship is not just between you and the mother. It's you, the mother, and the son. You know, and you gotta have that inclusion, because if you don't, you will lose. You will lose every day, every minute.
And Patrick, what do you feel is going to be the end result if the fathers that are watching this show does not take Courtney's advice?
Worst thing's going to happen is those kids are going to go wayward. They're not going to have a direction.
And then they're going to find themselves in one of two places, right?
Yes.
Well, one of three places, either jail, dead, or on the run.
Yes.
So,
We don't want that.
no, we don't. I think we have enough of that. And that's, like I said, that's another reason why we wanted to do this show, because I believe that there are more fathers actually there and involved in the lives of their children than what the media puts out there and than what society has tried to make us believe. We want to definitely commend each and every one of you for being on here. Patrick, what about you? Tell me, what is your feeling when you see where a father may not be acknowledged? Hi, mom comes out, and it's like, hey, I've been here, I've been working, so on and so forth.
Well, yeah, the first thing I think is, well, dad's always the disciplinarian. So dad's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Could that be part of the problem right now? Why some of the sons have gone a little astray?
It could be.
I think so too. Colin, what are going to be give me 2 ideas going forward that you're going to implement in the life of your stepson based off of Courtney's advice?
Well, I would say, at this point right now, I'm taking all the Courtney's advice, but I'm a good man and a good father to my son, you know. Piggybacking of what he said, I'm being a good father every day by spending time and by taking me out of the
equation,
situation and putting more of that child, you know. It's all about that child.
So then, there, fathers, if you do have a child that's not biologically yours, here are examples that it is possible, it is doable situation if you remove yourself out of the equation and focus completely on the child. If you do that, then when that child grows up, he's going to remember it. He or she is going to remember that. And when that camera hits them, they're going to be able to say, hi, Dad. LeMoine Live, we'll be right back with Chief Photography Studio.